In today's liquid world, old rigid structures are melting away. The shift to digital business models is transforming every industry, and businesses everywhere are asking the same question.
How can we innovate like a startup and deliver like an enterprise?
To harness the forces of mobile and cloud, VMware delivers the only unified hybrid cloud platform that seamlessly combines your existing data centers with public and managed clouds.
What about all the IT I already have?
VMware's hybrid cloud works the way you need it to. It extends the same tools, processes, and skills you've already invested in.
A cloud that takes advantage of the IT we have today is genius.
Use the hardware you already have. Integrate open source technologies like OpenStack and containers.
Finally, a cloud that transforms my business without disrupting it.
VMware's industry-leading network virtualization technology delivers new security models like microsegmentation, making security native to applications, infrastructure, and devices.
My business can be fearless because our cloud has security baked in.
Innovate faster and accelerate growth with the brave new model of IT that's fluid, instant, and secure. One cloud, any application, any device. VMware.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to VMware Metna Tech Talks. My name is Burcu Bayraktaroglu, and I'm a solutions engineer for VMware based out of Dubai. Today, I want to talk to you about building your hybrid cloud without disruption to your business. If your organization or your customers have been delaying their expansion into the cloud or could not decide which workloads to put or how to expand, I'm hoping this session is going to help you a lot. So we want to make the session as interactive as possible. For that reason, I'm kindly asking you to put your comments, your questions, the challenges you have been facing about the topic in the commentary box. We will be monitoring it during the session, and hopefully we will answer those questions during our session. But if not, we will be happy to divert to those questions and help you with those queries at a later stage. So without further ado, let's get started. So what does it entail, the Azure VMware services? Let's start the discussion about how customers started adopting the cloud. What were the main use cases? Obviously, one was potentially customers running out of data center space, where they had far too many racks. They had legacy hardware, legacy software that was becoming too difficult to manage. So instead of going in the current, in the unending cycle of these purchasing, maintenance, upgrades, etc., it's great to outsource it to a third party who is providing SLAs. So that was one good motivator. Second one was the urgent capacity needs. It's very normal in this age of e-commerce for organizations to have intermittent demands on their IT platforms. So instead of investing hundreds and thousands of dollars on hardware and software, which is going to be required only for a month over a 12-month period, why not expand it into the cloud, scale up and down very easily, and then address all the requirements without having to invest on CapEx and be on a very nice OpEx model. And the next one, definitely, we know how the application landscape has changed over the couple of years. There is now the concept of what we call as modern applications running microservices, which are so easy to change, modify, add new features, and developers love it. And the cloud platforms, the cloud native services has become the go-to place for developers to initiate these services, expand these services, test them, and then bring them back to maybe the on-premise production environment, or even develop the production inside cloud. Because this is what the cloud providers have also been promoting. So that's why for many organizations, the cloud journey has been an amazing one and has enabled their organizations to expand, to make more money, come with new business initiatives. So with that being said, there were other things that also stopped either the migration or expansion, and that mostly has to deal with the legacy that still has to be maintained. So what happened? When customers wanted to or decided that they should migrate their workloads, they realized this migration meant replatforming, because the native cloud services are native to that specific cloud. And it's not something they have been running on their own data center. So then they had to factor in, okay, what is the disruption going to be? What is the impact going to be on the running business? And the other thing, the developers didn't want to wait for the operations team to cater their needs, so they took their own routes and created a shadow IT and started consuming resources on the cloud. But then this created issues. Okay, how will organizations manage the compliance? How are they going to manage security? And how are they going to know what they're running in different spaces? Who can see the overall picture of what's happening? The other thing, how will organizations adapt these changes or adapt the operations regarding cloud into their existing processes? And this cloud, unfortunately, eventually became a new silo. People had existing talents, existing operations environment, which is still very intensive to digest for just one person or a small team of people. And now they have this new cloud silo that they have to familiarize themselves. So it's a tricky thing. And how does VMware help, or what does VMware do? And that's why VMware came up with its own cloud strategy, meaning it's about running any application on any cloud. How does VMware do that? It's about building a foundation, which is software-based, API-driven, hardware, and cloud agnostic. So how do we achieve that? As I'm hoping, as most of you know, VMware is a software company, and everything we create is about being an open environment, is about having an API-driven environment based on software and having all the intelligence and functionality in the software. So in the foundation, you have your good old friend ESXi, vSphere for compute virtualization, vSAN as the intelligence storage and policy management, and NSX for network functions and security functions virtualization. So this whole stack, when brought together, forms the software-defined data center, as we call it. So you can build your automation, because they're all API-driven. You can build your automation, your visibility, and management across the stack. And we also have another component, HCX, which we use for portability, and I'll talk about that later. So what VMware has developed, many organizations today, many VMware customers are already running the software-defined data center stack on-prem, which gave them great flexibility, reduced their time for provisioning or go-to-market. And how we have expanded is we replicated the exact foundation onto the cloud hyperscalers, starting with Amazon, Google, Microsoft, IBM, OVH, Rackspace. All those big names have a fully managed VMware SDDC Stack. So there are some variances between the services that you can get. And today I'm just going to focus on the Microsoft Azure part because of the obvious time limitation. But there's a lot of material available online where you can search for these. And if you have a specific one that you want us to address, please mention this also in the comments. So let's focus on the Microsoft Azure one. This is a fully VMware-approved, VMware cloud-supported VMware Cloud Foundation environment, managed and sold by Microsoft. So this part is key. This is not a product as a name or not a service as VMware sells, but it's sold by Microsoft. It's verified by VMware, and it's something that we promote hugely for our customers, especially they already have workloads or services in the Azure. So then let's move to why should anyone look at the Azure version of these VMware solutions? So these are very key 5 factors. Let's start with speed. I've seen this live, and you can see this live if you want to demo it, if you already have an Azure account. This service just looks like another native service on the Azure platform, Azure management interface. You go there and you provision a virtual private net VPC, and in that VPC, you actually call for this service, either through the Azure APIs or the web interface. And automatically, the system brings you up based on how many physical nodes you have selected. It brings up at minimum 3 physical servers running vSphere, vSAN, and NSX components all installed. It also comes with the vCenter and NSX Manager components installed, ready to configure with the credentials you have provided in your configuration stage. This takes about up to 3 hours, 2 or 3 hours for full provisioning. And then in 3 hours, you get your full VMware SDDC Stack ready to configure, ready to be managed by you. So how does it help you? We see that any customer who is running Microsoft workloads is also running VMware and vice versa. So from a skill set perspective, Microsoft admins are automatically VMware admins, and the VMware admins are already familiar with the vCenters and the NSX managers and the management interface and the capabilities. So you are moving things into the cloud, but it's no longer a new silo for you. Your operations team can still leverage their existing skill sets, or will still be using the same tools to manage the whole infrastructure. That's one big advantage, because if you're moving things natively to a different environment, it's a new skill set that you have to push your teams to develop. Here, that is not the case. You just protect your investment, and you can very easily switch things on the cloud. Extensibility, of course. This service is running directly on Azure bare metal servers. So there's not a secondary layer, by the way. It's a bare metal, and on top of that, we built the ESXi and the other VMware components. But it's in Azure, meaning that it already has a backbone connectivity to all other Azure native services. And then talk about savings. There's a lot that can be said here. Of course, VMware, vSphere technology, overall virtualization technology has already saved organizations thousands or hundreds thousands of dollars over the years. Immense consolidation, reducing carbon footprint. So when you're using the SDDC stack in the cloud, actually you're exercising the same thing, because you're achieving a very high level of consolidation. On top of that, because now, especially if you're using your Microsoft workloads, meaning your Windows servers, your Microsoft SQL environment, into the cloud, you get benefits of reduced prices for these licenses on Azure. So those workloads don't have to be native Azure services for you to get discounts compared to on-prem. Once it's on Azure VMware Solutions, you still get the same benefits and discounts and extended support for legacy Windows platforms. And of course, the confidence. I think this is the most important part. Replatforming has been one key showstopper for organizations to extend into cloud, be it any cloud. But when you have your existing vSphere stack on your on-prem data center, and when you have the same stack running in the Azure cloud, and all you need to do is just an ASIC-wise, very quick transfer of those workloads and spinning up those workloads, it's in a crash-consistent way, it becomes operational very quickly, and there's absolutely no disruption to your business. You don't have to change anything about your internal processes. It's compliant and it's secure, similar to what you have been doing on-prem. And I think this is a very powerful tool. So let's get down to, so what are the pieces we're seeing here? On your right-hand side is a good summary of how your environment looks like in Azure VMware Solutions. You have your vCenter, of course, managing the whole stack. You have your ESXi host installed with ESXi. You have your virtual machines running. You have the vSAN storage connected to it. Please remember the vSphere and vSAN, they're just next to each other. The vSAN is built in the vSphere. And then you have the network piece, NSX. It's not just network and security piece altogether, which you can configure your security policies, your overlay networks, your VLANs, whichever you want, inside your VPC. And this is installed on Azure Bare Metal. This is accessible through Azure portal and the Azure management interface. So this is what you have on the Azure platform. You can access the third-party services as well as available through the Azure Marketplace. Again, for backup, any external storage or security antivirus, that's all possible. And it's all accessed through the backbone of Azure, because this is now a native service in Azure. And on your left-hand side, you have your normal ESXi Stack, on-prem data center. You can either continue managing through your main data center. You might have a hybrid platform, or you might just want to move workloads to the Azure platform. You can have either ExpressRoute or site-to-site VPN. So ExpressRoute is a more direct way. It is like an MPLS type of private connection that is available through Azure and your local service provider, of course. But if you don't have this available in your region or your circumstances, you cannot address it. That's not a showstopper, because the HCX, which we use as the portability tool, has its own internal WAN optimization mechanisms. And it has also the capability to check the consistency of the workloads, comparing the on-prem data center and the new stack that you have in Azure. So what are the different versions probably you're running in terms of the components when they're broken down. So that tool actually manages the consistency of your workloads, manages the network, and manages that nothing breaks down as you potentially transfer those workloads from your on-prem site to Azure. And of course, how is the responsibility shared between you and Microsoft and VMware? Well, it's mostly between you and Microsoft, because Microsoft, as I mentioned before, this service is managed by Microsoft, and VMware actually verifies and supports it in the backend. This is not a service where the customers are directly interacting with VMware. Obviously, for everything physical, servers, the ESXi's, etc., deployment, lifecycle, and configuration is done through Microsoft. For the SDDC Stack components, the NSX, vCenter, vSAN, HCX, these are deployed and lifecycle managed by Microsoft. Generally, Microsoft, as far as I know, they keep it. They keep the updates on a quarterly basis. To make sure that there is no downtime experienced by their own customers. But of course, if there is a security vulnerability and there's a patch release, this is done as quickly as possible. And of course, when you go into the NSX Manager interface or vCenter, now this is your environment as the customer, which means you're going to go inside and do the configurations, deploy VMs, take snapshots, do whatever you normally do with your VMware environment. And again, it's up to you how you manage your guest operating systems, what you deploy. You can deploy Linux, you can deploy Windows, run any applications, develop your runtimes, add virtual machines. Then that's your environment. You do what you need. Availability of the services. So this slide might come a bit confusing, because it has been launched in certain locations and there's a lot to come up. But let's focus on what is currently available, and all this information is directly available on Microsoft website. If you want to see where the service is available or where it's coming in the near future or not, please check Microsoft websites, because they are the ones actually launching this on a site basis. And if you think you can really benefit from the service, it's going to be very useful for you, and you want to trial it or deploy it right now, and if you want it in your region, please contact your VMware and Microsoft representative Even just contacting VMware will suffice it. We will actually drive and we will build the launch of locations of the service will be done based on the demand coming from you. So your feedback is very much appreciated. At the moment, the service is available for Microsoft or Azure VMware Solutions via Cloud Simple in 4 locations, 3 in US and 1 in Europe. There's a direct service which was launched about 2 months ago. It's in preview mode, which means that it's like a beta phase. It's available. You can go and try it if you already have an Azure account, and it comes at a reduced price too, but it's not production grade. So you will have to wait for the go live GA date to make it as a production grade system. And plan, again, there are a lot of sites. I suggest still going to Microsoft website. And yes, please let us know if you're interested in the solution. And this last slide is a very busy one. I've already covered most of the topics. You can just take a screenshot of this if you're interested, just as a reference for you in the future. But be aware this information is getting updated almost on a daily basis. So it's going to be it's not going to be valid in a month or so, I guess. The important thing is that this service is sold by Microsoft. It's fully supported and certified by VMware Cloud Foundation. The first level support is through Microsoft. And VMware comes as the layer 3 support in the backend, not directly customer facing. This is all I had for today. I hope this session has been useful. Please make sure to visit Mental Tech Talks Facebook group. All featured events are displayed there. And please share your feedback with us if there are other topics that you want us to cover. We will rely on your input. And we will cater those. And also please invite your colleagues, your friends into the group so that we can reach out to more people. Thank you very much. Have a great day.